Hey, it's Ethan here at etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack Sport Rider SE Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on our 2023 Nissan Rogue. The SE is going to be a two-bike platform style bike rack capable of supporting up to 80 pounds each, held primarily by this frame hook here on the center mast, as well as two straps down at the bottom. So you can use it for your e-bikes. You can mix and match and get some heavier mountain bikes on here if you want to. One thing we do recommend against is using any sort of carbon frame bike, because it will potentially be taking damage on the frame as it is making that primary contact here while you're driving. Or if you just have a nice paint job, you want to avoid that as well. One unfortunate thing about the Sport Rider SE is that although it does have the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded up, it doesn't tilt far enough for us to get into the back of the Rogue. So I'm not going to show you that in this case. Just know that it does make contact with the hatch as we try to open it up, and there's not really much room for it to open much further. So instead, we'll go ahead and get the bike removed. We'll start that process by just getting this strap in the back out. Just press that black release on the back. And we'll do the same thing with the strap up at the front. Just press this button here in the back. You can see that there is this rubber pad on the strap to protect your tires as well. We'll get those out and out of the way. Now we can come up to the frame. The hooks also don't come all the way off, which is unfortunate because you have to kind of manipulate them and work around them. But we press the button and now we can get our bike off. We might just have to work around it a little bit, which can be a little bit tough, which is another thing to keep in mind about that rack. If you have an 80-pound bike on there, getting it off and around that center mast could turn into quite a pain. But while I put this bike away, we can talk a little bit more about the trays and the cradle on the rack. And I can get this center mast out of the way. So we'll start with the mast. You will have to line this pin up with a notch on the top to pull it out. And you're probably going to have to move these hooks around a little bit to accommodate your hoops until you get to the point where they line up again up here. And again, you'll find that notch right there, find where it lines up, and feed that through to secure the center mast. On the back here or on the front, probably be easier to show, but I'll replace my straps real quick just to get them out of the way so they're not bouncing around while we're driving. You can see that there's this hand knob on the hoops on the tray, so we can slide them up and down to accommodate a wheelbase of up to 60 inches, and the hoops are large enough along with the straps to accommodate a tire size of up to 5 inches right out of the gate. From here, we can get a couple of measurements to see what it's like to live with this on your vehicle. Starting with how much distance we're adding from the bumper to the furthest point back, it's going to be adding 25 inches onto the back, so honestly not too bad for a rack that gets that weight capacity on there. As far as ground clearance goes, I'll just measure from this closest cradle, and the distance from the ground to that point is going to be just under 18 inches. As high as you're going to have to lift those heavy bikes, that's going to be closer to 21 or 21 and a half inches. So that's the number you're going to want to keep in mind. I'm not worried about it because it does have that rise in the shank, and it sits tall enough on the Rogue that I don't think it's going to make any contact if you're going up hills or over curbs. But you do want to keep that higher number in mind for, can I lift my 80-pound bike that high, should you choose to use one that's that heavy. We can fold the rack up to save a little bit of that space. We will not need to pull the pin in the clip. That's only for tilting it down. So we'll start by pulling this one closest to us, and then the one down at the bottom. And then you'll hear it click into place. And now we can get that new measurement to see how much space we've saved. So from the bumper now to the furthest point out, it's going to be closer to 11 and a half inches. So we cut our distance just about in half. And again, for that weight capacity, the Sport Rider SE is pretty compact, so we still have full visibility of our license plate. Our backup camera is right here in the middle. Tons of room there. Doesn't come anywhere near our taillights or our rear window. If we come down here to take a closer look at the shank, we can see that there is a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. It's held in place by this pin with the lock on the end. And there is a nice metal collar welded onto there, so once you line that up, it'll automatically line up your pinhole, so you don't have to search around for that, which is a nice feature. It's all held in place by this anti-rattle handle right here at the end. Just tighten that up, keep it horizontal so it's not messing with your ground clearance. Now, it sits a little bit close to the back of the vehicle, but not super close to where I'm going to be worried about it damaging it when we're moving around. So overall, again, it is a really compact and relatively easy to use rack, I will say. If you're looking for something that gets you a little bit more of a premium look and a couple of premium features, you might want to check out something like the Kuat NV 2.0. It looks a little bit sleeker, it's a little bit easier to work with, comes with a bike repair stand, but you're going to lose out on some of that weight capacity. So if you're not so worried about the ease of use, you'd rather have a rack that gets you that 80-pound weight capacity, the tire width, and the wheelbase that the Sport Rider SE offers. It's still a really solid choice. This again was just a quick look at the Hollywood Rack Sport Rider SE and how it fits on our 2023 Nissan Rogue.